Welcome to the Winging It Travel podcast with me, James Hammond, where every Monday I'll be joined by guests to talk about their travel stories, travel tips, backpacking advice, and so much more. Right now, I'm taking the podcast on the road travelling with me, so tune in every week for short form episodes detailing all my travels alongside my Monday guest episode. Are you a backpacker, traveller, gap year student, or simply someone who loves to travel? Then this is the podcast for you. This is a casual, informative podcast designed for you to inspire you to travel. There'll be stories to tell, tips to share, and experiences to inspire. Welcome to the show. Hey, just a quick one. I just want to say there are many ways to support this podcast. You can buy me a coffee and help support the podcast with $5, or you can go to my merch store with the affiliate link with TeePublic, where there's plenty of merch available to buy, such as t-shirts, jumpers, hoodies, and also some children's clothing. Thirdly, which is free, you can also rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or Good Pods. Also, you can find me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Simply just search for Winging It Travel Podcast, and you'll find me displaying all my social media content for travelling, podcasts, and other stuff. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to this new solo episode. And today I'm going to round up our interrailing trip with some cool, intriguing, and hopefully hopeful stats. The total days travelled on the Interrail pass was 28 days. So keep that in mind when I give some stats about how much we spent, what we did, etc. 1 month interrailing pass for unlimited trains is normally €704. But we got that half price because we booked it late last year. But an Interrail pass is only for European citizens, and Eurorail pass is for non-Euro citizens. So I'm not sure how much that pass is the same as the Interrail pass. But that's the basis of our trip. We got one of those passes and we wanted to get, ideally, from London all the way to Istanbul. But I'll come to that in a bit because it didn't quite work out to plan. But the total number of trains that we got was 19. This includes A to B, but also some day trips, and doesn't include the metro. So in total, the actual journeys of the legs that we were doing getting to Eastern Europe was 15. The number of countries that we travelled through was 9, and the new countries for me was 7. Number of big cities, 11. And also, my least favourite was Zurich, and my favourite, I think, was Venice. The biggest surprise was Verona, and I really want to go back. And that was one of the day trips that we've done from Venice. It takes about an hour and a half. The most expensive country out of all those was Switzerland, by far. The least expensive, in terms of city and or country, because only sometimes went to one city, was Slovenia or Croatia. Hard to judge which one was cheaper. My instinct tells me maybe Croatia was slightly cheaper. Number of McDonald's eaten, 6. The most expensive McDonald's, Switzerland. The best dish was probably Tirano. We went out for a trendy, expensive meal for Emma's birthday. A bit of rigatoni for me, and the dessert, tiramisu, was absolutely top notch. The best country for coffee was definitely Italy, and was also one of the best values. It was about €1, €1.20. And the least expensive coffee, again, was Italy. The most expensive coffee was Switzerland, around €5 to €6. And the best activity that we've done, I think, was definitely the Alps train from Chur in Switzerland to Tirano over the Alps. The best accommodation that we booked was probably Luxembourg, actually. The Grunwald hostel, I think, but it's definitely a hotel, classy place, €80 a night. But what we got for that was a huge double bed. It's almost like a suite, and we've got a separate area for like a kitchen, microwave and stuff, and then we've got a huge bathroom. Absolutely unreal. The only downside of that is we're both slightly ill, so we couldn't really enjoy it that much, but a great recommendation. Least or worst favourite accommodation, I think it's anecdotal, and it's probably Ljubljana. My tooth started hurting, creaky floorboards, the bed was a little bit too small, but the room was nice, and it's a great location, and it's really cheap. So it's a tough one, that, but didn't have the best time there. I've totaled up the amount of steps, and I've got roughly here 369,423. That is around 296 kilometers per day, about 10.57 kilometers a day, roughly 7 miles. Yeah, pretty decent. No wonder we're quite knackered. The weather was fantastic. No rainy days. So every day we could go out and explore. Let's get to some monetary stats. We actually spent in total 6,200 Canadian dollars for both of us. I've kind of broken it down a bit more. Again, these are rough figures, but this gives you a good idea. Accommodation was 2,729 Canadian dollars. If you want that in USD, 1994 roughly, euros 1834, pounds 1622. So roughly that is 97 Canadian dollars a night on average, 71 US dollars, 65 euros, 58 pounds. And to break that down, we had 14 nights in a hotel, 10 in a hostel, 2 in a guest house, and a free stay. Food, I've got 1,600 Canadian dollars. Drinks, so this is alcoholic drinks, not coffee. Food did not include coffee either. Drinks, alcoholic, I couldn't drink about a week of it because of antibiotics. We'll call it maybe 2 weeks. So not many drinks, unfortunately, but 121 Canadian dollars. This is for both of us as well, don't forget. Activities, 512 Canadian dollars. Coffee, 350 Canadian dollars. We had a couple of flights in there, so 410 Canadian dollars. The flight was actually just one flight, and it was from Vienna to Turkey because we couldn't make it to Istanbul. We had transportation, so metros, buses, etc. 408 Canadian dollars, and miscellaneous about 69. So average spend is 221 Canadian dollars per day. So not too bad, but over budget for us. Our budget actually for the whole trip is 100 Canadian dollars, so we're going to have to really rein that in. That probably will happen in Nepal. I'm not even sure if it's doable, but we'll get close to it, I think. The reason we didn't make it to Istanbul is because you cannot go through Serbia currently on the train. There's there's workarounds like buses, too long. The alternative is to go all the way around Romania from Hungary, Romania to Bulgaria. Again, it's like 10, 20 hours on a bus, train, just isn't worth it. So we actually utilised the Interrail pass and it saw more countries. So Zagreb, Budapest were extras and sort of hung around that area before flying out of Vienna at the end of the trip. I've got some weird, funky stats now. Number of funiculars, 4. In brackets, 8 return trips. Number of interviews, I've got 3 in person. I did try to get more. Budapest, Vienna, Zagreb didn't quite work out, don't always work out, but I'm glad to get 3 on the board. Number of coffees, we think 73, and obviously that's each because there's obviously 1 each. That's roughly 3 a day, so about average that, yeah. And the number of kilometres travelled is 2704 in Europe. What I've done there is city to city as the crow flies, roughly kilometres. I think that's about right. Delayed trains or cancelled trains, 2. Lucerne to Chair was delayed, we had to change our plans slightly for that, and we couldn't get from Toronto to Milan, had to get a bus. Days of rain, 0. Days of rest, 0. Days of under 10,000 steps, we've got roughly 6, but we were still pretty close to the 10,000 steps. Kilos carried, I think I'm carrying 16 kilos at the minute. That's one big bag of around 14 to 15 kilos, then a small day pack to carry as well. Medical assistance needed, 1 for my tooth extraction in Budapest. The most devastating cost was actually the 28 euros for 2 Maccas in Zurich. That's pretty devastating. The best thing or activity for money, I think I got Vining Castle, 10 euros, free travel in Luxembourg, and get up there, check it out. I've also, alongside that, got the Bernina Express, because with the Interrail or the Eurail pass, you just need to pay for the reservation, which is 35 euros. So overall, some cool stats there. I think definitely a worthwhile trip. I wish I'd done maybe a bit more different type of activities, but it was the start of a big trip, so we got to kind of ease our way in. Paris was great, a lot of coffees. I've never really travelled Europe before. It shocked me with how maybe expensive it is. I wasn't a fan of that, and now we've got some catching up to do with the budget. But I thoroughly enjoyed every place I went to. There wasn't anywhere disliked. I'm not a great fan of cold weather, but Zurich kind of snows, so it wasn't great there. But I think in the summer that'd be pretty great. One weird tip is, if you're going to do Interrail or Eurail pass, don't do February because you get one less day or 2 less days depending on the year. Definitely do it any other day, any other month of the year. And go and see Europe. Fantastic place. I think next time I'd like to do it in the Western Europe, so Spain, Portugal, a bit more France, do that as well. And I think the further east you go, or the further west, it's going to be fairly good price, fairly good budgeting purposes there, but I think Central Europe is pretty expensive. Plan ahead because sometimes activities need to be booked, especially in the summer. We went in February and we kind of got away with that a little bit, but even the Alps train was booked out, so please book ahead. Thoroughly enjoyed your trip. Now I'm in the Middle East and it's great, and it's out of my comfort zone a little bit, and it's a different area of the world I've not seen before, so really excited about that. So overall, I hope this helps. A bit of budgeting for you there, and also hope it inspires you to get out there and see Europe. You can check out almost solo episodes of each place I've been to, and next will be Turkey for the week, and I'm now in Beirut recording as we speak, and there'll be 11 in series 2. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you soon. Cheers.